Beta branch 1.6.4 has just dropped for Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, and with it, not a whole lot has changed, but two very huge things were added with this patch. So we're going to go through it here today. Then I'm going to quickly show off anything that I can in the game, and I'll be upfront with you, there's not much to show off. So in my typical fashion of upfronting the knowledge in this video, the two big things that happened, number one, companions can now be promoted. So you can actually have them become nobles, but there are some prerequisites that you have to meet first. So for example, you have to own a kingdom, you have to have a certain amount of gold or dinar, you have to have a certain amount of renown, so on and so forth, and then you can promote your companions into nobles. Something that the community has asked for a long time has finally been added into the game, and we're going to be doing some testing of this on Saturday. We'll be doing our typical kind of beta branch patch stream, a 1.6.4. We'll be testing it out and kind of showing that in its paces. And then the other big thing is kind of hidden. Well, not really necessarily hidden. You probably wouldn't know what it means. I had to actually ask one of the developers what the hell superiority is. So there was a patch done that affects both multiplayer and single player. And what it does is it affects the formation's superiority ranking when it comes to deciding how they react to certain circumstances. So an example of this would be if you are in a siege and you have a formation that is hiding behind some sort of wooden barricade and they get hit with an arrow. Previous to 1.6.4, they'll just stand there because their superiority, their formation superiority tells them to sit in this spot. Well, now they're kind of react dynamically to little tiny things that occur while maintaining that, ultimate goal of their formation. So if that unit were to get hit with an arrow this time, things will shift to make it so they don't get hit with an arrow anymore. They'll try to react, and not the whole formation, but the individual unit will go, oh, I just got hit in the arm. Time for me to take a step left or right to try and prevent that from happening again. A further example too would be, let's say you have you're defending a siege and you have a whole bunch or single formation in front of the gates waiting for the gates to be breached. Well, let's say too that someone on the walls gets up, bypasses everyone on the walls and makes it for the actual gates, and it's a single soldier, and that single soldier attacks that formation. In previous patches, the formation wouldn't do anything because it would think, oh, it's a single soldier, it's not worth my time. It is more important to guard this gate. Well, now the soldiers that it attacks, they'll quickly react, kill that soldier, and go back to guarding. So this is really huge to maintaining a lot of things that will come down the line when it comes to the siege tower fix and a number of other things. So those are the real quick big patch notes for this one. It's not a very large patch, and the ultimate question here too is, should you test it? You can wait on 1.6.4 if you're still dealing with a lot of the things that were occurring in 1.6.3. Like, for example, the deaths were occurring way too often on the campaign map, so things were shifting wildly and entire droves of campaigns worth of NPCs were being killed off. That has now been fixed. 1.6.4 though, for the most part, there are so few changes that unless you really want to test the new companion portion of it, you don't need to jump to it just yet. Let people kind of bang through it. And it is, of course, retroactive, right? So if you want to use this on a certain beta branch save that you've got, something I strongly recommend, make one save that you always test your beta branches on. And this way you can kind of get an idea for what's coming before it hits the main branch and it affects your mods. So if you really do want to test out that promotion process, then jump on into 1.6.4, give some feedback to the developers on the forum posts that you can find at the bottom of these patch notes, and linked those patch notes then linked in the description. But those are all of the that's all the information here for today. I'm going to be going through the patch notes for the nitty gritty for those that want to get down and dirty with me. So feel free to stick around. But if you are heading out, please don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe. I cannot tell you how those things help out in any way, shape, or form. And if for some reason you have not picked up Bannerlord, you can also do so using the link to my Nexus Store in the description. They get the Steam keys directly from the developer, and it's a great way to support the channel. Let's get started here on beta patch notes 1.6.4. And like I was saying, the branch notes here are not very big. There's quite a small amount of them. So for starters here, for performance, we get battle and siege optimizations. Always nice. We are not getting siege tower fixes in this what's it called, beta branch, but that is coming. That should hopefully come soon. Maybe 1.6.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.6.7, who knows, but hopefully in the future. We also have added a crown for Khuzait Lords, improvements to some materials and textures. Always nice to see those because we do still get some clipping issues here and there. For clan and party, here's the big daddy, right? It is now possible for players to promote companions into nobles with their own clan. In order to use this feature, the player must be the leader of a kingdom, have at least one thief, as I constantly am worried if it's thief or fife. It is thief because thief is Thief. Have an active companion that is not a family member. Have 20,000 dinars and 500 influence ready to spend for the promotion. Once the conditions are met, the player can initiate the dialogue with the companion about their promotion. The player will grant the companion one of their fiefs and will be able to name their clan. The newly created clan will be a tier 2 clan and receive a 50 relation bonus with the player's clan. That is sick. That is what we've wanted for so long, because now we can dynamically grow our kingdom. In the past, pretty much what you did was you created a kingdom and you were the sole ruling clan, and you had to basically pull other clans in as mercenaries who would then kind of leave if they so wished. This is awesome. It really is a great way to dynamically make this game become huge, and it's something that a lot of people have wanted since the start. It's something that I think we've heard teased since the beginning of the game. This is a game changer. So testing it out and seeing how it works is going to be the biggest thing, and make sure it's 100% before it hits main branch. We do have another little guy here. Removed influence gained from donating troops to a clan member's party. I put this in red because it is not necessarily a nerf, but people were using this as an exploit. It has now been removed. Moving further down, again, see, a lot of stuff is like kind of little minor fixes and patches things here and there. So I haven't touched on most of it, like, you know, remove the ability to attack parties after accepting the safe passage agreement via the surrender or die dialogue. I'm like, okay, not as important. But other things here are some item changes and kind of movings around. So glaive weapons used in the Khuzait tournaments now deal blunt damage. And why blunt damage is important is that it kind of not necessarily bypasses armor, but when you deal with, say, hey, you know, I'm level 2 or 3 or 4, and I'm fighting some juiced up noble from Vlandia who's, let's just say, Dirthard, and he's coming in hot and heavy with the biggest, baddest armor. Blunt kind of helps mitigate some of that, so you can actually deal damage to them. In the past, if you remember the first series of versions of the game, you would just have a sword, and the sword would be whatever the sword was. Well, I'll hint, a sword is slashing. So as a result, slashing and piercing. You weren't able to do a ton of damage to these characters. You'd be doing 5, 8, 10, 5 damage to them, while they would swing and hit you for 48. So the blunt damage of these weapons helps to kind of level the playing field when you are doing tournaments. Khuzait Darkhan, which is the top tier of the infantry unit for Khuzait, now has 60 bow skill and 80 throwing skill. Previously, this was 80 bow and 60 throwing. This is something that I kind of said in my, hey, these are some changes I'd love to see to the rosters of a lot of different units, and why they are why Khuzait Darkhan retain bow skill is because it's kind of like a lore RP thing. These guys are supposed to be trained with a bunch of different armaments and weaponry, right? And as a result, they can use it if the opportunity presents itself. So they had 60 throwing before and started with throwing weapons. Now they have 80 throwing and start with throwing weapons, which is great. And if they're in a circumstance where, let's just say, a siege and they've run out of throwing weapons, they will pick up a bow and arrow and start shooting. So this is why they've got bow skill. You might be thinking, they don't start with this. Why do they have it? It's because they can leverage it if their AI profile dictates it. Like, hey, I'm sitting here being shot. I can shoot back while I'm in a defensive situation. So that's why skills are present on units that do not have those armaments. Additionally, we get some nerfing to the Legionary padded straps, the Leopard pelt, and the Legionary reinforced studded harness, reducing their arm and or body armor, but increasing maybe their arm or body armor depending on which one it is. The Legionary studded harness, though, gets a nice little buff of 1 to its body armor. But then we also get switched chainmail, or reinforced chainmail barding from Sturgia to Vlandia item pool. Mini is now available in settlements with the Vlandian culture. And for the most part, that is, oh, no, I'm stupid. I forgot about the superiority thing that I talked about at the very beginning of this video, and I said it was a big deal, and I didn't even touch on it. So For multiplayer, or for both, I'm sorry, we get improvements to the ballista, increase the firing rate, decrease the flying curvature, so less of a acute parabola, added a sight, improved AI usage, minor animation tweaks, and corrected the ballista bolt's center of mass. And then this big daddy, again, if I hadn't explained it, you would not really know because I had to ask a dev because I didn't know what the hell it meant. A system that approximates local superiority has now been implemented. This helps AI agents to distinguish a nearby lone enemy that they can kill from a group of enemies. They can then choose to fight or move towards their assigned tactical position in hopes of better odds. A minor random element was also introduced that slightly influences decision scores. So You'll see this probably the most in sieges. That's when you're probably going to see this dynamically shift. But let's say I'm the player character and I charge up to a unit of archers. Sometimes that unit of archers won't respond to me. They'll go, oh, there's just a single unit. There's no reason to fight them. Sometimes, they'll pull out their swords and start hacking at you. It just kind of depends on the situation of the battlefield. Now they will always respond to you as a single immediate threat because it's going to deal with their local superiority and their assignment of tasks and whatnot, and they'll kill you quickly. They'll just like, okay, we need to get rid of this because it's gonna prevent us from doing our ultimate task, right? Our objective is to shoot this other thing with our bows and arrows, but this guy's going to stop it. We're going to kill him quickly and then go back to it. So this is really important for the actual battle map and maintaining the objective of every formation and unit. So another good example would be cavalry and how they typically try to do a very specific thing, and if something got in their way, they'd assign, oh, okay, well, it's like 2 or 3 infantry units, we're not going to bother. Now they'll just ride them down, then go on to the next target. So it's a nice little thing that they've implemented into the game, and like I said, you're going to feel this the most in sieges. And it's nice that we've gotten a little touch on sieges almost every patch since the siege ladder fix, but I'm really stoked for that siege tower fix coming down the line, and of course the dynamic battlefields. Of course, too, we also get some modding improvements. I don't know what they mean because I am not a smart human being. But as always, guys, this pretty much sums up all of the patch notes here for 1.6.4. I'll quickly just jump in and show you the Khuzait Crown, maybe try to show you an exemplification of this local superiority thing, but take a look tune back in on Saturday for the stream in which we're going to be playing 1.6.4. We'll show off some of the promotion process and so on and so forth. I have to kind of set the game up, as it were, and we'll have some fun. But let's jump on here to the game real quick. First up here is our lovely new crown for Khuzait, the ornate steel cap, which, if you don't have hair, looks completely alien on you. This was the new one that was added 2 patches ago, which is really sick. And then this little guy is, I think, more of like a, hey, you know what? I'm in town, just want to look dapper. People in Khuzait gotta know who I am. But this is the new Khuzait Crown that was added into the game. All right, fast forwarding us to a siege and using some clever cheats. Let's see how this works. So I'm going to teleport my character right here, and it's going to be probably pretty brutal pretty quick, but we'll see nonetheless. So that guy's here. They've responded. They've all responded immediately, and they're just going to go for the kill. So previously this would not happen. I'd be able to teleport behind them. They wouldn't even respond. Even if I attacked them, they would just kind of sit there. And now they'll actually come for me and kill me quickly. Even these other crew over here who are set to be reserves for the wall, they saw that I went over there and they immediately started shooting at me. So this is how local superiority works. It's just the quickest way I can probably show it off. There's going to be a lot of other ways you'll see it present in the battlefield, but this is one of the more overt ones that you can see. But that concludes our little breakdown here of 1.6.4, guys. If you have any questions, if you're running into any issues, please by all means go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. I'll help you out the best I can. Again, the big question here is, should you test it? My opinion is, unless you really want to go into the companion portion and promotions, you can definitely wait until 1.6.5, which hopefully might be a larger patch. We do not know, but it might bring in stuff like siege tower fixes. It might bring in stuff like what's it called? The dynamic battle map. Whatever it is, we know that there's other stuff coming down the line, and this is such a small patch that I think that you could bypass it pretty easily without any problems. And like I've said before, you should have a beta branch save that you've got that you test these beta branches on. I don't want you guys to mess up your main saves. This way you can kind of test out things, see how they work. And if you really want to use your main save on it after you've tested a little bit, you can do so. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe. Cannot again tell you how much that helps me out a ton. But as always, have a good one and take care.